Ethan lived a quiet life in a small town, the kind of place where nothing strange ever happened. He worked a normal job at a hardware store, came home at 6, and watched old sci-fi movies with his dog, Max. The world didn't expect much from him, and he didn't expect much from it either. He liked it that way, simple, peaceful, and uneventful. On a rainy Tuesday night, Ethan noticed the hallway light flickering. It wasn't the first time. The bulb was old, and he had been meaning to change it for weeks. He finally stood up, stretched his back, and muttered, "Well, let's get this over with." He grabbed a fresh bulb from the drawer, picked up the small step stool, and walked to the hallway. Max followed, wagging his tail and tilting his head at the buzzing light above. "Don't worry, buddy," Ethan said. "This'll just take a second." He climbed the stool and twisted the dead bulb out. The hallway went dim. Carefully screwed the new one in. As soon as it clicked into place, a flash of white light filled the entire hallway. Ethan flinched and lost his balance. He fell back, but didn't hit the floor. Time stopped. The light hung in the air, like frozen smoke. The dust particles glittered in slow motion. Max was frozen. Mid-bark, his front paws lifted. Ethan hovered in the air, suspended like a puppet. His breath caught in his throat. Then, from within the light, something moved. A strange shape began forming in the middle of the hallway. It wasn't just light anymore, it was twisting, folding, like a glowing ribbon, trying to become something else. Ethan watched helplessly, still floating, his body locked by whatever force had taken over. The light tightened, becoming a figure. It shrank down into a humanoid shape, a girl. Her skin was soft silver blue, and her long hair floated around her like it had its own gravity. She looked young, maybe close to Ethan's age. Glowing lines moved across her arms like veins of soft energy. Her eyes slowly opened, and they glowed like twin stars. Time snapped back. Ethan crashed to the floor with a thud. Max barked in confusion. The light bulb above him hummed softly, now shining a steady white glow. Everything was back to normal, except for the alien girl now standing in his hallway. Ethan groaned, sitting up. "Okay? That's new?" The girl looked around, breathing hard. She held her arm like she was in pain. When her eyes met Ethan's, she flinched, but didn't back away. She looked just as scared as he was. Who are you?" Ethan asked, his voice shaky. The girl blinked slowly. "I didn't mean to come here," she said. Her voice was soft and musical, but tired. "I was running. Oh, the signal pulled me through." "Signal?" Ethan repeated. "Wait, are you real?" She nodded. "My name is Kayla. I am from the Astrian outpost. We don't usually interact with surface beings, but I was trying to escape." Ethan stood up slowly, keeping his hands raised to show he meant no harm. Max sniffed the air, then sat down, as if deciding she wasn't dangerous. "Okay, Kayla," Ethan said carefully. "Let's start over. I'm Ethan. You just popped out of my hallway light. Any chance you want to explain that?" She looked at the light bulb. "Your light was connected to a dormant energy beacon. Very old, buried deep below this structure. When you changed it, the circuit completed. It created a temporary portal." Ethan blinked. "So, I changed a light bulb and opened a portal." She nodded. "Yes, and now they might follow." Ethan asked. Dakla stepped closer, and her eyes showed deep fear. "The hollow kind, they drain energy. They chase beings like me." They sensed the portal. Ethan's heart thudded in his chest. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't a hero. He was just a guy with a dog and a flickering light. And now, he was talking to an alien girl who was being hunted by something called the hollow kind. He looked at her and really looked. She didn't seem like a threat. In fact, she looked more frightened than dangerous. Her body trembled slightly, and there were faint burns on her arm. Without thinking, Ethan took a step closer and offered his hand. "You're safe here," he said. "I don't know what's going on, but I'll help you." Kayla looked at his hand, surprised. Slowly, she reached out and touched it. Her skin was cool, like touching smooth metal under moonlight. Suddenly, the lights in the house flickered again. The bulb above them sparked. A low hum came from the walls like something was crawling inside the wiring. Kella's eyes widened. They're close. Ethan pulled her with him. Then we better move. They ran toward the living room. Max barked and followed. Behind them, the light bulb in the hallway pulsed once more, then cracked, leaking a tiny stream of dark mist. Something had come through, and Ethan's life would never be the same again. Ethan locked the front door behind them, even though he had no idea if a door could stop what was chasing Kayla. She stood by the window, eyes glowing faintly, watching the street. The house was quiet, but it didn't feel safe anymore. The hallway. Light was now completely dark. Whatever had come through it wasn't human. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked. Kayla didn't answer at first. She touched her wrist, where the faint burns glowed softly. Her fingers moved quickly, and a small floating screen appeared from a round device on her arm. It showed moving patterns, like a radar. "They are circling," she said. "The hollow kind are close, but they're confused." "They didn't expect to land in a human home?" Great, Ethan muttered. "So what are they exactly?" Kayla turned to face him. "They are energy feeders, born from the void between stars. They move through shadows, silence, and light. They hunt beings like me. Our energy is bright to them." Ethan took a deep breath and rubbed the back of his neck. "So, how do we stop them?" "We can't stop them," Kayla said quietly. "We can only run or close the beacon." Ethan stared. "The thing under my house?" She nodded. "Yes. The beacon is ancient. I think your kind found it long ago, but forgot. Your power grid, your electricity. It's feeding it again." Ethan looked around. "So changing the bulb powered it up?" "Yes," Kayla replied. "The new bulb completed the connection. The energy opened the gateway and pulled me in. Was trying to escape the hollow kind. I didn't mean to end up here." Ethan paced the room. "Okay, so you're saying I need to shut off power to the house?" "It might help," she said, "but it may already be too late. The beacon is active. It hasn't been touched for thousands of cycles. Once it wakes up, it tries to signal, not just to my people, but to anything listening." Ethan paused. "And something was listening?" Kayla nodded. "Yes." He turned off the lights one by one. Kayla stayed close, watching the shadows with caution. Max followed them, his tail down and ears alert. In the basement, Ethan flipped the main breaker. The house went dark. The humming in the walls stopped. Kayla looked at her device. The radar dimmed slightly. "Good," she whispered. "They'll lose our trail. For now." They sat on the living room floor with a flashlight between them. Kayla leaned back against the wall, breathing slowly. Her glow had dimmed. She looked tired. "Do you need rest?" Ethan asked. "A little," Kayla said, "but I can't risk sleep." "Not here. You can rest," he said. "I'll keep watch." She looked at him strangely. "Why are you helping me?" Ethan shrugged. "I don't know. It's maybe because you're not trying to hurt me. It's maybe because I was just fixing a light and now I'm caught in something huge. Or maybe I'm just tired of doing nothing." Smiled faintly. "You are unusual. Most humans run. You stay." "Maybe I'm just dumb," Ethan said with a chuckle. "Or maybe brave." Silence filled the room. Outside, the wind rustled the trees. Inside, the air felt heavy but calm. For a while, neither of them spoke. Kayla finally closed her eyes and rested her head against the wall. "Galada." Ethan sat beside Max, scratching behind the dog's ears. But peace didn't last long. A soft tap echoed. From the hallway, Ethan stood quickly and clicked on the flashlight. Kayla's eyes opened at once. She looked at her scanner. The screen lit up red. "They're near," she said. Ethan held the flashlight toward the hallway. The light flickered. The bulb inside the flashlight dimmed. The shadows near the hallway. Doorway twisted slightly, almost like they were moving. Kayla stood up. "We need to leave. Now, where can we go?" Ethan asked. "We can't go outside. You said they're circling." "We don't go up," Kayla said. "We go down." Ethan blinked. The basement? No, she said. Beneath that. Together, they moved quickly. Kayla pulled a thin tool from her belt and used it to scan the basement floor.
Ah!
In the far corner, near an old water heater, her scanner blinked bright blue. There, she said. Ethan grabbed a crowbar and helped her pry up the floorboards. Beneath, they found stone. Ancient, dark, and cracked with glowing lines. Kayla placed her hand on the stone. It responded, pulsing faintly. A circular door began to open downward, revealing a spiral tunnel lit by dim blue lights. Ethan stared. That's been under my house all this time? Kayla nodded. Your kind built homes over it, forgetting what was buried below. The beacon is down there. He hesitated, then grabbed a lantern. All right, let's finish what we started. They climbed down the spiral tunnel. Behind them, something moved in the shadows upstairs. The door above them closed just in time, sealing them inside. And for the first time, Ethan felt something shift deep inside, something more than fear. It was purpose. Ethan and Kayla moved deeper into the tunnel, their steps echoing softly against the ancient stone. The walls around them pulsed with a faint blue glow, like veins filled with light. Ethan held the lantern in one hand and Max followed closely. Behind, ears low and alert, the tunnel felt too old to belong to any human design. Strange symbols were carved along the walls, and some of them lit up as Kayla passed by. She seemed to recognize them. These are Astrian runes, she whispered. My ancestors must have placed the beacon here long before your kind built homes above it. Ethan glanced at her. What's the beacon actually for? It's a communication device, she explained. But more than that, it's a protector. It can warn or even create shields. But it needs to bond with someone who matches its signal. Ethan frowned. And you thought that someone was you? Kayla looked unsure. I thought so, until I arrived here. The beacon didn't open for me. It reacted when you touched the light. Ethan blinked. Me. Why would some alien tech react to a guy who works in a hardware store? Kayla gave a small smile. Maybe you're more than you know. They reached a round chamber at the end of the tunnel. At its center was a large, glowing crystal seated in a base of silver metal. Lines of energy ran from the crystal into the walls like roots of a great tree. It was beautiful and powerful, and humming softly, Kela stepped forward. This is the beacon. It's awake now. Ethan stayed back, his eyes wide. Max sniffed the ground carefully. Everything in the room felt charged, like standing too close. To a storm, Clea touched the crystal. Nothing happened. She turned to Ethan. Try placing your hand here, he said. She nodded. It reacted to you before. Maybe it still will. Ethan hesitated, then slowly placed his hand on the crystal. The moment his fingers touched it, the light inside surged. The hum grew louder. Runes along the chamber walls lit up all at once. A soft wind blew around them, even though they were deep underground. Kella's eyes widened. You're syncing with it. Ethan tried to pull his hand away, but it was stuck held by the energy. Images flashed in his mind. Stars, galaxies, battles long ago, alien voices, sorrow, fear, hope, and then silence. He stumbled back, breathing hard. What was that? Memories, Kayla said gently. The beacon is alive in a way. It stores history, emotion, purpose. It just shared some of that with you. I felt like it. Knew me, Ethan whispered. It chose you, Kayla. Said you can control it? Before they could say more, the chamber darkened. The blue lights faded to a dull gray. Max growled low. Kayla's device beeped wildly. They found us, she said. From the tunnel behind them, shadows twisted and moved. A figure stepped into view, tall, thin, and shaped like a man, but made of pure shadow. It had no eyes, no mouth, just a smooth, dark face that bent light around it. The air grew cold. Ethan backed up. That's one of them. Kayla nodded. A hollow scout. If it touches the beacon, it could destroy it or worse. Take control. The creature hissed and darted forward, fast like a shadow on fire. Ethan grabbed a piece of metal pipe from the ground and swung it. It passed right through the creature. Kayla shot a beam of blue light from her wrist device, stunning the thing briefly. "Run," she shouted. They moved to the other side of the chamber. The creature followed, slipping through shadows. Kayla activated a glowing barrier with her arm tool, blocking one of the entrances for a moment. "We can't hold it off for long," she said. "But maybe the beacon can help." Ethan looked at the crystal. "What do I do?" "Connect again," Kayla said. "But this time guide it. Think about what you want. Protect. Shield. Push it out." Ethan placed both hands on the crystal and closed his eyes, focused on the fear he felt, the danger. Thought about his home, about Max, about Kayla standing beside him. He wanted them to be safe. The crystal lit up once more. Energy surged out like a pulse. The shadow creature shrieked and staggered back. The beacon released a wave of light, and the room brightened with warmth. The hollow scout melted into the floor. Unable to stay, the silence returned. Ethan collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Kayla helped him up. "You did it," she said. "Don't even know how," he replied. "You didn't need to know," Kayla said. "You felt it. That's what matters." Ethan looked at the glowing beacon, still pulsing with power. He knew this was just the beginning. If they found one of the hollow kind, more would come, and he would have to be ready. Ethan sat quietly beside the glowing beacon, his hands still shaking. The room had returned to a soft blue glow, peaceful again. The strange energy that had pulsed through his body during the fight still echoed in his chest like a fading drum beat. It didn't hurt, but it didn't feel normal either. Kayla checked her wrist device. "The beacon's pulse has weakened the nearby shadows. They won't return for a while, but they will come back." Ethan looked at her. "How many are there?" "2. "Many," she said. "If the main one finds this place, we won't survive. We have to close the beacon." "But I thought the beacon was our only weapon." "It is," she said. "But if they take control of it, they can turn it against us. We need to protect it or shut it down before they do." Ethan stood up slowly. "There has to be a better way than just shutting it off. What if it can do more?" Kayla looked unsure, then said, "There may be another way, but we need to understand the beacon fully. We need to know who built it and why it chose you." Ethan nodded. "Then let's figure it out." They moved toward a smaller tunnel that led deeper underground. The beacon's energy lines flowed down into that passage like rivers of light. The air grew cooler and the silence heavier with each step. Soon, they reached a second chamber. This one was round and smaller than the beacon room. The walls were covered with symbols and carvings, some glowing, some faded with time. At the center stood a stone pillar with a glowing orb on top. Kayla stared at the walls. "This is a memory room." "A what?" Ethan asked. "A place to store history," she replied. "Astrians use these to pass down knowledge. We don't use books. We store memory and energy. This orb holds everything about the beacon." Kayla stepped forward and placed both hands on the orb. Light spread from it and filled the chamber. With moving images visions made of light, Ethan saw a sky full of stars, alien ships flying in formation. Then he saw massive creatures made of shadow tearing through planets, leaving only silence behind. Warriors and armor-shell-less people stood against them, fighting with glowing weapons powered by crystals like the one in the beacon. "We came to many worlds," Kayla said as the vision continued, and placed beacons on those with strong energy fields. They served as shields, as warnings, and sometimes as last hopes. The image showed a group of Astrians placing a beacon under the earth under what would one day become Ethan's house. They looked tired, wounded. One of them stayed behind, resting his hand on the crystal. Then he vanished in a bright flash. "That one," Kayla whispered. "He gave his life to bind the beacon here." The image faded. The room returned to its blue glow. Ethan stepped closer. "So why did it react to me?" Kayla looked at him.
"Oh, maybe because your DNA carries a trace of
"The binding. The man who stayed behind. Maybe he left more than just power. Maybe he passed something to your people. You think I'm connected to him?" Ethan asked. Surprised. Kayla nodded. "Yes. It explains why the beacon responded. You were human, but not fully disconnected from Astrian energy." Ethan touched the wall, staring at the old symbols. So what now? Kayla took a deep breath. Now, we unlock the beacon's full defense mode. If it chose you, it will let you access the deeper systems. And maybe, just maybe, we can use it to trap the hollow kind. Trap them? Yes. Lure them in, then seal the portal. It's risky, but if it works, we stop them from spreading. Ethan nodded slowly. Then let's do it. He returned to the main beacon chamber. Kayla gave Ethan a small crystal shard. Place this into the beacon's core, then focus on the thought. Protect. Not just yourself. Protect all. Ethan climbed the platform beside the beacon. He took the shard and slid it into a small slot. At the base, the crystal glowed bright, and the room shook slightly. He placed both hands on the beacon again. This time he saw deeper visions of different planets, different guardians, lost battles, and then peace. The beacon spoke not in words, but in feeling. It showed Ethan what could be done. It gave him the knowledge to activate the defense systems. When he opened his eyes, the walls had changed. His panels had opened, revealing new lights, new controls. The entire room had shifted into something alive. Calais looked amazed. He did. Ethan smiled slightly. I think we're just getting started. Before they could plan more, Kella's device beeped sharply. She looked at it and went pale. They're coming, she said. The main one is near. Ethan turned to the beacon, and it's time to set the trap. Ethan and Kayla stood side by side in the glowing beacon chamber, ready for what was coming. The air felt charged, full of energy and tension. The ancient device hummed softly, like a heartbeat, responding to Ethan's presence. He still couldn't believe that changing a light bulb had led him here to this moment. Kayla checked her wrist device one last time. The main hollow kind is close, stronger than any scout. Ethan nodded, gripping a metal rod he found in the chamber.
Axe that!
Beside him, growling, low but steady. This is it, Ethan said. We fight and we win. Kayla smiled faintly. With the beacon's power and your will we might. The chamber doors creaked open and cold shadows spilled in. From the darkness came a creature unlike any Ethan had ever seen. It was tall and twisted, like smoke shaped into a man. Its eyes were pits of black nothingness. Its voice was a low whisper that made the air shiver. You cannot stop the void, it hissed. We consume all light, your world will fall. Ethan raised his rod, feeling a strange warmth from the beacon pulse through his arms. He swung it toward the creature, but the shadow passed through harmlessly. The hollow kind smiled, if such a thing could be called a smile. Kayla stepped forward, activating her wrist device. Blue energy shot out, wrapping the creature. It struggled and shrieked, but the energy held tight. Now, Ethan, Kayla called. He touched the beacon's control. Panel light poured from the crystal-like rivers, filling the room. A shield formed around them, thick and shimmering. The hollow kind roared in frustration and lunged again. This time Ethan focused all his will on the beacon. He thought of home, of Max, of Kella's courage. Energy pulsed from the beacon, creating waves that pushed the creature back. You cannot win, it said, voice cracking. Ethan gritted his teeth. Watch me. The beacon glowed brighter and brighter. Beams of light shot out, filling every corner of the chamber, chasing away the shadows. The creature screamed and began to dissolve, its form breaking apart like smoke in sunlight. Kayla stood close, her eyes glowing with power. Keep going, Ethan. Hold the light, the beacon responded, pulsing with every heartbeat. Ethan felt his strength grow, not just from the machine, but from inside himself. He was connected to the beacon. Its energy was his energy, the hollow kind's voice faded as it disappeared into nothingness. It's working, Kayla said, breathing hard. But Ethan wasn't done. We need to seal the portal. Kayla nodded. The beacon can do that, but it needs a final surge. Ethan pressed a series of glowing buttons. The crystal flared. A wave of energy expanded, sealing the tunnel entrances. The glow moved outward, sealing every crack where shadows could slip through. The house shook slightly as the portal closed. Outside, the night grew quiet. Ethan looked at Kayla. Did we do it? She smiled. For now, but the hollow kind may try again. This beacon is a beacon of hope and a target. Ethan sat down, exhausted but happy. Max jumped onto his lap, licking his face. Kayla touched his arm. You are brave. Ethan, stronger than most humans I have met. He laughed softly. Guess changing a light bulb was the best thing I ever did. They both smiled, knowing that, though the fight was over for now, their lives had changed forever. The house was quiet now. The heavy weight of danger had lifted, but Ethan and Kayla knew this calm was only temporary. Outside, the world continued, unaware of the battle fought beneath one small town. Kayla stood by the window, staring at the stars. Her silver-blue skin seemed to glow softly in the moonlight. Ethan sat on the couch, tired but awake. Max lay curled beside him, peaceful for the first time in days. What happens now? Ethan asked. Kayla turned, her eyes thoughtful. I must return to my people. The Astrian outpost will want to know what happened here. Earth is no longer just a forgotten planet. Ethan nodded slowly. And me. You have a choice, she said. You can't stay here. Live your quiet life, or you can come with me. See the stars you only dreamed about. He looked around his home. The walls that had felt safe now felt different, alive, connected to something greater. He thought about Max, the battles, and the strange power inside him. I want to see, he said. Kala smiled brightly. Then we leave together. They walked back to the hidden chamber. The beacon's light pulsed softly. Waiting, Kayla touched a panel, and the room filled with blue light. A portal shimmered in the air, swirling, with colors Ethan had never seen. It was like looking through a window into the vastness of space. Max barked softly, stepping forward. Ethan bent down and petted him. Ready, boy? Max wagged his tail. Hand in hand, Ethan and Kayla stepped through the portal. Light surrounded them, warm and full of promise. When they opened their eyes, they were in a huge ship, sleek and humming. With energy, stars streaked past outside huge windows. Welcome to the Astrian flagship, Kayla said. Ethan looked around, amazed. It's beautiful. Kayla took his hand again. This is just the beginning. Together, we will protect the galaxy, and maybe find new light in the darkness. Ethan smiled. For the first time, he felt like more than just a guy changing a light bulb. He was part of something bigger, something worth fighting for. Above Earth, the hallway light flickered once, more, then went out. But high in the sky, a new star shone bright, a symbol of hope and courage.